I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Happy Friday. Welcome into Tech Talk. You've got us on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. 3 full hours with us here as we are live from the First United Bank studio. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Kyler Brown behind the glass taking care of us. You can call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973. Remember that number here in a couple minutes. You're going to need it. You can also give us all your thoughts, comments, questions, predictions on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can take us anywhere with a mobile app. Brought to you by Happy State Bank. We're also streaming live on Fox 34 News now and on YouTube. Now, before we dive in today, again, 806-771-0973. If you call that number, we've got 4 tickets for tomorrow's matchup against Gardner Webb. Again, Saturday is the day you're looking for. 4 tickets. Call the Visual Edge IT hotline. We'll make it real simple. First caller gets the tickets. You have to give Kyler a compliment on his Cowboys hat. That's it. That's all you have to do. So there you go. Get to dialing. Gus, how goes it?
It's going pretty good. How are you?
Doing good. Busy Friday, but that's not a bad thing. Makes it go by fast, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Speaking of busy Fridays, you've got one chock full. You'll hang out with us here for a couple hours, and then you'll go over to the ballpark and get to calling some Red Raider baseball against Gardner Webb.
Yep. Night when 6:30, first evening tilt or home evening tilt, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
This time next week we'll be opening Big 12 play, so it's just bonkers.
It's funny because, we've mentioned it several times, like, hey, that this Texas series is going to get here quicker than you know, and it's going to be here, and whether you're ready for it or not, here come the Longhorns, and I'm sure they're saying the same thing because on the other side, they're starting on the road to start Big 12 play against a very, very quality opponent, just like the same things you're saying against them, except you're at home. But now that you're down to your last weekend series already before you see Big 12 play, it's crazy just how quickly it really, you can say it and then not realize it.
Sure.
So,
it's the new, it's where we are at this point in time. The difference is, I guess it might have been this way for a couple years in the late aughts because the standardized start date that D1 baseball is using started in 08, and that means I've described this to you, but before 08 you could just you had 56 game limit. You could start in January if you wanted to,
mm-hmm.
Or you could start later, whatever. But you were capped, and then there was a point at which they said nobody starts before this date because the teams from the South were able to, kind of get farther along with their pitching and whatnot. Anyway.
Well, you had teams like up like in Michigan and stuff. We can't understand why people don't want to come up here in January and start a series with us. Yeah, because you're cold.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's still a fact. But you'd have some teams starting their season, some others that have already be 20 games in.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of that was standardized in 2008. In the Big 12, we went from 30 games to 24 in about 2012 maybe. And so we went from 10 weekends to 8, and so we got sort of used to, almost 4 or 5 weekends of baseball before Big 12 play started. We would usually start our Big 12 conference series at the end of spring break, and a lot of times we were among the first to start because we can't play on finals weekend, or in the past haven't been able to. And so we would sort of have that finals weekend knockout. You say we, Texas Tech, and so we're sort of used to whatever it is, 12, 13 years of having 4 or 5 weekends of baseball before conference, and this year it's 3. And so here we go. And Gardner Webb's here. They play in the Big South over in North Carolina, and they'll play like they've already opened with Appalachian State. They'll play the Tar Heels. They'll play Duke. Because they're within about a 3-hour drive of a whole lot of good teams. They played South Carolina Gamecocks on Tuesday and got beat. But I would completely expect a much stiffer challenge than last week.
How much? I was going to ask how much better, because you're not expecting clearly any losses in here, but I mean, is it going to be just completely shocking if you reach into the 20s again offensively and you have the same scores? Probably not getting 32 runs again in a game,
right.
But if you want to, I say go for it.
Sure, absolutely.
I say let's see what it looks like in back-to-back weekends, but like just minimally, right? As far as
I wouldn't go
Gardner Webb being better than Texas Southern.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to the ballpark. I mean, I don't know how they view the depth of their arms. I feel like they just in talking to the coach, I think they feel like they've got 3 competent starters, but having a competent starter and they've got a closer that they believe in, I know that, and so I don't know that it's going to be. I would expect it to be sort of group of 5, depth of pitching staff. In other words, they're not pitching it backwards, as best I can tell. You never know who's going to perform well. But, they feel like if they can get a game to their closer and win one, I'm sure they would hop on that plane out of here excited. And if they were to come in here and take 2 of 3, they'd probably be out over the moon. But, I'm just saying that to say that, this, like a lot of weekends, and a lot of times when you play a team like this, you think about it in terms of the totality of the 3 games, because they may put their best foot. They're not pitching it backwards again, but they may, if you take care of them on Friday and Saturday in a way that the late innings aren't in reach. In other words, it's not 3-3 in the 7th or 10-10 in the 7th. If it's tied, they'll go to their closer and air him out and try to win the game with their closer on the mound. But if you get to Sunday and he hadn't pitched yet, that dude might come in the 4th inning, and if he's really good, then you got to, and that'll happen. It'll certainly happen in Big 12 play at times. The Jayhawks did it a couple years ago. We scored 26 runs on Saturday, and then they put their dude out there on Sunday and pitched well and, beat us. Like, dang, we could have swept those guys.
I remember Jamie always saying, the thing I like about the Jayhawks baseball program, it's that they pitch it backwards. He just loved it. It was his favorite thing. Yeah. He just had great admiration and not passionate hate for it.
Well, it's a way to make sure you're not getting swept, but it's a way to perhaps guard against that. And what you're hoping then is you can steal one on Friday, Saturday, and then get to Sunday. It's
also saying Friday, Saturday, we got no shot.
No, there's no doubt about that.
And
what they're trying to do is get to the 6th inning and still be in a ball game on Friday or Saturday and try to tilt it their direction. But yeah, that's. And I'm just saying we may get some of that with Gardner Webb, but I would expect a much more competent opponent this weekend than what we had last week. And that'll be interesting to follow because Texas Southern is playing in Lawrence this weekend. So we can
4-game series.
Yeah, we can watch them play another Big 12 opponent.
Tickets have been given away, so have a great time to figure out who won it from Kyler here in just a moment. It is the juice when we come back. You got Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com, taking you all the way up to 6 o'clock. That's when pregame coverage for Red Raider baseball at home against Gardner Webb will start. A 6:30 first pitch tonight. Kyle Robinson on the mound, and as I said, Jack Washburn is your Sunday starter, but getting his first start as a Red Raider is one Big Mac Hewer, Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Kyler Brown behind the glass. And clearly Zane Petty does not have the start that he wants, or I should say 2 starts, but the start to the year.
Right.
Do you think that it would still be Petty to see if he could work it out if Texas wasn't around the corner and this was kind of a sped up situation?
Yeah, because the math there might have to do with the opportunity to pitch this upcoming midweek. Mm-hmm. Because we've played 2 midweeks, and the Tuesday Wednesday games. Brady Trombello pitched the Tuesday game through 4 scoreless, and then he was the player that was injured the other day, in a serious way. Sounds like he's doing better, but all that went into that, and so they'll have to gin up one of those guys, and it could be Rogers, it could be Petty, and both of those are guys that are better arms on this staff, just in terms of radar gun and can spin it and all those things. One of them needs to throw more strikes, and the other one, probably just needs to execute some pitches a little better. But those 2 guys, could have Big 12 weekend guy written all over them. But they got to get right. And I don't know that there's a punishment or anything else associated with this. But I think it's just, you got to take them out of some of the bigger leverage situations to set yourself up for success. Because there is an element of this weekend that probably still adding another 10 pitches to pitch count or whatever else with these guys to try to get a little just to condition them to get a little deeper into ball games, because as you said, next week it's go time.
Which that was that's a question I have for Kyle Robinson's perfect since he's up first, and he hasn't really shown you anything that I think that you're concerned with him or has changed your mind on him or anything like that. Like what inning count are you anticipating if everything's going right for him tonight? Is it 6? Is it 5? What does that look like?
And that's probably the key there. And you could really view it a couple ways. We probably are smartest to think about any of these things in terms of a pitch count being a limit, a number. Whatever that is, my guess would be in the 80s, whatever, somewhere like that. And it depends on how many comfortable pitches you've thrown versus how much of those are stressed. But then you think about, Tim, I think over time has gotten to where he's paid attention to second time through the order, because you see that in the big leagues. A lot of those guys aren't going to pitch through the order a third time unless they're really dealing. And so, he would have to be super efficient to get through the order twice and be, sitting on 60 pitches in a way that they could set him. But, that Saturday thing is also paired with Ryan Free, and Free can go. Free has kind of got a starting pitcher's load. He can go 60, 70 pitches as well. And so if you can go 4 or 5 with the starter and get 4 or 5 from Free and call it a day in a perfect world. And then what that does is it allows you to save or to have the Sanders type backup bullpen guys available on Friday and Sunday.
How much does and I just asked this from, if you're being honest with what you think should happen in this series, does a big lead that you could have against Gardner Webb offensively, does that change that decision at all? Or maybe if this were a closer game, we'd go ahead and pull the trigger and say, let's get a new arm in there, or he's at 60, he's at that kind of threshold, but we're up by 6, we're up by 7, something like that.
Probably not. I would imagine that there's now what that could open up is, you could maybe shut down a guy an inning earlier than you might otherwise. Because sometimes on big offensive days, we had this last week, Kyle Robinson a couple different times was sitting on 25, 30-minute at bats. So those guys sit forever and then go out and pitch. And
someone go wake up Robinson. He's,
right.
He's taking a nap.
And then we did it two innings later. We did it again. And
he's
suddenly,
Joe Flaccoing over there in the dugout.
He's been up and on for, 2 hours.
Yeah.
But he's got a 20-run lead, and then you can kind of go, hey, let's get, Gus an inning and Clint an inning and whatever, and you can kind of do it that way as opposed to, and you may still be throwing the closer for an inning or two, but the leverage is taken out of it, and so it does allow maybe for an opportunity to manage, just to manage the leverage situations. In a perfect world, you're getting a bunch of guys to the mound this week and setting yourself up for what's always a tough environment over in New Mexico. Not, and sometimes that's because it's 42 and windy, which it doesn't appear it's going to be that, but just that's a team that feels like they can beat you and make things tough, and they want to play a 14-12 game, and and it's something that it's just the challenge is real, because if you think Lubbock's a tough place to pitch, go get you some Albuquerque.
Yeah, no thanks. So then what about Mac Hewer? Perfect world situation for him. What kind of inning count do you think, or pitch count do you think he's at? Is it going to be the same across the board, or is
question. At least now they in scrimmages they may have had him going in the weekends leading up to, because he's pitched on the weekends twice, and so for him he hasn't deviated off into pitching in the UTA or Oregon State games. And so I think he's been carrying sort of a starter's load, which means his pitch count, his innings and things when they've been controlling the inter squads has probably been up around 70 pitches and 5 innings. I don't know why we would expect it to be a whole lot different, and they'd probably be delighted if he goes and gets that. Because he hadn't been walking people. I'm knocking on wood as I say that. He's been hit
Everybody
a couple times.
and
his numbers are good too, but he hasn't but he's given up base hits and stuff, and there will be a point along the way that he'll need to get better with a secondary pitch, meaning he'll need some sort of change of speed thing to get him off of just velocity. But the thing he's got, it's the reason why he's drafted. He's got the big body and all that stuff, but he throws pretty hard. I mean, it's pretty firm, and he likes to throw hard, and he throws strikes with it and all that stuff. But if hitters are going to go up there off of him saying, hey, make him throw that slider to beat you, and he needs to be able to do that, or the cutter or whatever it is. He needs something else to get you off of his fastball, because even, and that's not anything different than anybody else, but he probably just needs to get a secondary pitch a little farther along. But the fastball side of him is why he was drafted.
We got this on the H1 Center chat line from Bullfighter. Is there a chance I'll get to meet Gus today?
Bullfighter? Well, I'll be up there. You can't really come beating on the press box door, though. That's one of the tough things about it. I guess you could wave at me through the booth, but I won't know who you are unless you hold up a sign, I guess, right?
Yeah, I am Bullfighter.
Yeah, exactly. Come up there with a sign. Wave. Yeah, I'll
Gus will be
the
the broadcaster in the booth with the mountain of Sour Patch Kids beside him, waiting to trolley back over the weekend. This from Shelley. Please don't remind me about that Kansas series 2 years ago. So frustrating still.
Yeah, and we won 2 of 3, but we ended up throttling them on Saturday, the 26-run thing, and then I think that's right, or 28 or whatever it was, and then losing on Sunday. So you still took 2 of 3 on the road. You look at the result and go, why are you so upset with that? And it's like, well, you handled them on Friday, Saturday, especially Saturday, and then couldn't finish the sweep. But yeah, I get it.
When we come back, we'll take a little trip back in time. You've got Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3, DoubleT97.3.com. Back with more next.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and DoubleT97.3.com. Happy Friday. Hopefully you got a great weekend in store. Certainly got a lot of Texas Tech sports ready for you. It'll start tonight. Of course, if you were over at Rocky Johnson Field, you saw a split Tech does lose to UTEP in Game 2 of a doubleheader. They've got more games to come, though, this weekend in the Janine McCaney Memorial Tournament. But we have Red Raider baseball coming up tonight after we're done. Double T 97.3, 6:30 pitch, first pitch, I should say, against Gardner Webb. And then Red Raider basketball on the road at West Virginia tomorrow, 4 o'clock start time, 5 o'clock tip.
Well, we need that one. Ooh,
yes.
Mercy. We need it. Need it.
1:30. Come on, boys. 1:30, 107.7 Yes FM. Lady Raider basketball is at home for senior day, 2 o'clock tip against the Kansas State Wildcats. Speaking of wild.
Yeah, Wildcats.
Yeah. Take that. Kyler, please give us your play of the day.
The pitch. High drive down the left field line. He massacred that ball. Adios, muchacho. T.J. Pompey. Pitch. High fly ball to center field. How much will it travel? Burns running out of room, and it is gone. Long gone. Adios, muchacho. The Red Raiders lead it 13-4. Owen Washburn saying goodbye.
1-1 turned on, and speaking of swinging it well, towering fly ball. That ball is out of here. Owen Washburn with his second long ball of the day. Another 2-run shot. Red Raiders now lead this thing 16-5.
In the spirit of our Red Raiders taking on Gardner Webb this weekend, I figured I'd throw in a couple of dingers from their previous series sweep against Texas Southern.
That sparked a question in my head for you, Gus.
Let's hear it.
Hey, Kyler. You've, coming off of a weekend where you weren't playing a very good opponent, but the offense certainly shined. 5 games before that, all in Arlington, mixed bag sort of feel with results. What do you think has been the highlight so far in the very, very, very young season?
I would say this. I think the Nebraska baseball win. I mean, that win is helping because that Nebraska team is playing pretty well. Mm-hmm. So that now I think you're asking that question a little differently than I'm answering it, but that's just
it's wide open. I like the answer.
Sidebar. They're 5-3, and getting a couple of they went to Grand Canyon and took 3 or 4, and so they're kind of helping us, maybe helping us, make our case the way RPI works, in terms of you start to root for the teams, especially the teams you've beaten, because then they can sort of make your case for you. Mm-hmm. So go Huskers. But I would say the highlight. I mean it's easy to point to offense and get all lathered up over last week and 32 wins and stuff. And certainly anytime you set a record, even in most of the time that's what was so tough about most of the time those come in non-conference against the weaker opponent. And that's certainly what last week was. And that's what was also disappointing about 2 years ago at Kansas, that you dump 28 on them one day and then get beat by them the next because we weren't sharp and they were behind their best guy, and so those don't really point to a single area that you can go 32 runs, because it's easy to point to that and say our offense is fine if we just pitch a little, well, the ball's always going to fly in Lubbock, Texas. We got red flag warnings or whatever, wind warnings going to be sitting. It's not going to be the mess we dealt with the other day, but it's going to be at 20, 21 tomorrow and Sunday. So it'll be, and that's kind of wind out of the southwest, so the ball's going to be flying. I don't know. I've been impressed. I think we've got a bunch of dudes that so far at least have thrown strikes, and that was true. Now again, we had one little blip with Petty not throwing strikes in a start that was visible, and we ended up coming back and beating Nebraska in the game in which he started, and then one hiccup for Rogers, in which he didn't throw strikes and lost his start, and couldn't get out of the third or whatever it was. And so, but for the most part, this group has thrown strikes. Like, we just haven't seen us sitting there at 6 or 7 walks every game. And you know, some years you can be a pretty good pitching team and walk a lot. And we had some big arms, you know, 18, 19, 20, a bunch of hard throwers. And you just had to sort of deal with, hey, we're going to be a high walk team and a high strikeout team. 2 of those teams went to Omaha, so you know you can do that. You can live that way. It's just a little more precarious. I don't think this year's bunch is going to be a high strikeout group, so they don't need to be a high walk group. So I would say that's one cause for optimism there. I've been impressed by a couple of the new hitters, like Landon Stripling, most notably, in a way that I think you know, like he's pushing. Like, he's going to push. Like, he's creating problems for somebody. I don't know who that is.
Well, and you already saw, you know, questions from this weekend. Now, one, I mean, you mentioned the defense hasn't been just sparkling from Gavin Cash. I know the hitting will lead the conversation, but then Stripling gets action this past weekend and then just, to me, just takes full advantage of it and shows off why you should be excited about him.
Yep, and he, you know, he's going to hit. And by the way, he's going to be a draft eligible sophomore next year, so most likely you're just getting 2 years of that guy. But yeah, so there's, you know, that immediately creates some depth, and hopefully we don't come to this. But the first, you know, if we have an injury at any number of probably, I don't know, depending on how you want to look at it, maybe 4 or so positions, 5, I guess, if you count DH, you should have immediate baked-in depth right there, because your depth could be the other of Cash and Stripling, which is, you know, kind of saying something there. But, yeah, so, again, hopefully the injury bug doesn't bite, and if it does bite, hopefully it bites in one of the positions where your immediate answer is a Stripling or Cash type situation. But, you know, I feel okay about the offensive depth, but I think we came into the season knowing that it was a little more of an offensive veteran lineup.
This from Bullfighter. Never mind. Not going to meet Gus. He's talking bad about my Canadian Huskers.
No,
you were giving him a compliment.
I'm good, man.
We were giving him a compliment.
For him now, dude. We need him.
He stated a fact that you beat them, and then that you think that they're doing well.
For him. Heck yeah.
It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Back with more next.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and DoubleT973.com. Thanks for joining us on a Friday. Hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Thoughts, comments, questions. We'll take predictions for the weekend as well. Whatever you got, we'll take it there. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Ben Porman behind the glass. It is combine season.
Ben Porman?
Oh my gosh, sorry.
It's okay.
The artist formerly known as Ben Porman, now going by Kyler Brown. Those are different people. If you wouldn't have stopped me, I would not have caught that I just did that. I need you guys all to consolidate. You, Ben, Brennan, just combine yourselves. Go like by Brenniler or something. We'll figure it out. This on the Yates, well, I was going to say that it is a combine season. You're getting some already impressive marks. The Texas defensive lineman who wreaked havoc, sweat all year, he ran his 40 yesterday and was like, what, he's 366?
366 pounds.
Running 5.27 on the 40 time. Where it's like you say, did you see the guy who ran a 5.27 40? And you're like, that guy's going to the NFL. I was like, oh, by the way, he's 366 pounds. Goodness gracious.
Mercy. Hey, I'm looking at Bucky Brooks. Mock draft.
Chiefs?
You got your Chiefs going with a D lineman in their first pick.
Makes sense.
D lineman from Missouri. That hurts.
We'll forgive him.
Hurt,
yeah, you got a linebacker, Nick Bolton, who went to Missouri, and we've forgiven him. It helps when you make really big plays in the Super Bowl. And
yeah, it does.
I mean, he's a big reason why you beat the Eagles last year.
You can clear your name.
Yeah. He's just from after you get drafted from Missouri, we're just waiting to see if you make up for it.
Sure.
You were successful despite. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. One of the funniest Harry Carey impersonations came in a dialogue between Ryan Dempster and Derek Holland when they were both with the Rangers and both did a Harry Carey like this. Dempster intros Holland as Derek Hollister. Then Holland corrects him saying it's not Hollister, it's Holland. Dempster then says, I didn't know you were from the Netherlands. Dempster proceeds to talk about a trip that he and Dutchie took to Holland.
That is... I've heard that one, and that one's pretty good. It's not as absurd as Will Ferrell's.
Mm-hmm. That's really funny.
Yep.
We got some clarification also, Gus, on the goldfish party from Shelley.
That girl Shelley, man.
She says you swallow
Bring in the heat.
This is gross. This is disgusting.
It's like some 1950s stuff here, but go ahead.
You swallow a small goldfish after every beer. To which someone says, it sounds awful. And I agree. Val says goldfish swallowing was a college thing 60 plus years ago. As in, how many could you swallow before throwing up? To which Shelley also said, they were tiny, which does not help. I don't care about the size of it. I also don't care if it's alive or dead. It's a goldfish. They were tiny but alive. Dude 1 got to like 15 or 17. He swallowed a whole school of goldfish, Gus.
God dang.
That is
gross, man.
Horrifying.
Ugh.
Mm.
Yeah, that's painful.
Who in the building would most likely be talked into swallowing a goldfish?
One of you clowns.
Probably
in there,
Choice.
Probably.
Oh, not me. I'm going with Choice.
Let's go.
I think we could do it. We should try it. We got this from T-Bone. I don't think our starting pitching is going to be as good as it needs to be. I know it's early, but eyes don't lie. Where are you at with the starting pitching?
It's
I mean, obviously there's a move here on Saturday with Zane Petty, but
it'd be a whole lot better with. It'd be a whole lot better if it was. Where they recruited and developed for, which is with Mason Molina going on Friday. But that's me saying that. That's not nobody in the program is going to say that. But yeah, I mean that's what they recruited and built for.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but like with Kyle Robinson, Jack Washburn, where would you grade where they are and what you think they will be right now? Because I haven't walked away with any concern for those two.
Yeah, Robinson's yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know that either of those two dominant guys. Yeah, need Robinson to keep extending and just get deeper, get more innings and that kind of thing. I think. Yeah, Washburn's been pretty dang good through 4 innings both times. I don't say he hit a wall. Now he gave up two windblowns last week, and then I think a walk and a base hit and a good mound visit, and kind of settled him down and got him through that inning. But that's one of those things where you need a veteran. One of the things that, and I think Coach Magel has said this, and Larry Hayes believed this too, they like playing games where the wind was blowing out like that because they felt like the other team, the visitors, were going to be way more affected by giving up the wind-blown home run or a wind-blown pop-up or some crap that should have been a foul ball that blows into the field of play and it's a cheap single or whatever. And they were right. Both those guys coached out here forever and won a zillion games. But you think about, our guys also have to get, and they do. They don't really get it from fall ball either. 'Cause, we're out here in the fall. The fall's probably our best season because you get out of the summer heat. We really don't have a lot of wind in the fall. Typically, you certainly don't have the dust. It's a rare, and so those guys don't really get to pitch in the wind and give up that kind of stuff, but they get exposed to it. And Washburn kind of got it the hard way because he was clicking right along. He gives up 2 balls that just clear the fence by about a foot. Like, dude, that's a wind-blown home run. Keep your chin up. That's all you can do. And Cubs pitchers learn that. Rockies pitchers learn that. when the wind's blowing out at Wrigley, the thing you got to do around it is control walks and clean up the defense as best you can, so that when you do give up that wind-blown piece of crap, that it doesn't wreck you for a 3-run homer. And Washburn didn't. It was 2 solos, and then, but it's still not an easy thing to deal with, and you want it to be a situation where it's tougher on that. Because visitors come in here and get swallowed up by that because they're not used to it and they get rattled by it and all that. And we're going to have that, I think, tomorrow, and it usually comes into play in the day games more so than the night. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I think Washburn's going to be a draft guy this year. Does that mean he's going to be the Big 12 pitcher of the year? No, but the things that he's got in his holster, he's got a chance to be, to play the game for a while, and so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I don't know what our starting pitching is going to be at the very highest end. In other words, matching shot for shot with a high end dude on a Friday night. That's going to, and again, that's less of a reflection of Kyle than it's going to be hard to talk about this team and think about it and go, man, that should be Molina out there. And then if Molina's there, then that pushes Robinson, somebody else back. It pushes you back into being deeper on the weekends and having more for midweeks and all that stuff. But that's the way it goes. I think so. We'll see where it goes from there. But I do worry about it at the highest, at the highest level on the Friday night type games when you're headed to the ballpark expecting 3-2. That makes me nervous, no doubt.
Oh, we got this on the Ace Flooring Center chat line from Merch. Finally moved back to the hub. We will enjoy listening to you guys. Well, welcome back, and thanks for tuning in.
Heck yeah. What up, Merch?
We will figure out what's going on when we come back. We'll also got a question off of the Yates Flooring Center chat line for you. We only have one more with Gus before we allow you to go, do something else, I guess. Something baseball related. We'll find, I guess, figure out what you're doing. See if you're lying or not. I'm just kidding. Keep the Sour Patch Kids going. You're the gravy train for that. It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3. Back with more next.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Welcome back to Tech Talk. 30 more minutes with us in 15 minutes. It's Ask Tech Talk, brought to you by Visual Edge IT. Get your questions in on the Yates Flooring Center chat line for that. We'll take whatever you got. You can also give us your predictions for the weekend. You got baseball to pick from, Lady Raider basketball, Red Raider basketball. And we have a Nuggets at Lakers game tomorrow, 7 o'clock, 100.7 the score. We'll take a prediction for that as well.
Clint Do you know who did that song there, Straight Up?
That is Paula Abdul.
Do you know how she got her famous start? You know what she was famous for from the beginning?
I do not.
You know?
I have no idea. My guess is going to be American Idol, but I mean,
no, this is tail end of the career.
She was before American Idol. This is before American Idol.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
She was a Laker cheerleader.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
How about that?
Oh, learned something new.
See, I'm here to provide.
Oh, if you didn't know, now you do. You have any more Paula Abdul facts? That was impressive. One for one, but let's see if you had a second one in there too. What was the cat that she, like the actual cartoon cat that she did a song with? Do you remember talking about?
Yeah, don't know.
Scat Cat?
This off the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Chuck, are you a member of the Air Elite Dunkers? Does that? I have a feeling that's a trap question there. Are you familiar with the Air Elite Dunkers?
No.
Okay.
It sounds like one of the halftime shows that does trampoline.
Oh, okay.
I would assume something like that. It doesn't sound like it's a trap, but
yeah. This compliment from Radiation Station Rock Chalk Tech Talk. Yeah.
This off of the Yates Flooring.
Whatever you want to think, man.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line for Red Raider baseball in the homestands. Good thing we don't play Tennessee 6 games in a row. You can hear coverage tonight after we're done, 6 o'clock. It is Optimum Game Day Live. I want to remind you of that. It says they're the next halftime show. So there you go for the Air Dunkers.
Next halftime show. Okay, then they're going to come in for the Baylor game.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm done with the dogs.
Or you don't like the dogs?
I'm just done with them. I mean, they were good. They're good. I'm ready for the red panda to come back again.
Has she been here this year?
Yeah, not this year.
Not this year?
She's been here a couple times.
Yeah.
But not this year. I got really excited in, where were we most recently? Oh, Austin. I saw a unicycle when we went into the Moody Center, and I thought, is that the red pandas? But it was this dude. I mean, this dude that had a beer gut, and he comes out there and he's doing these performances. I mean, he's pretty good, and then he gets on this unicycle that he had to get on a stepladder to get on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, there's no way this guy is going to be able to balance himself. And man, he was fantastic.
So do you think competition for Red Panda or
Red Panda's?
There's only one unicycle rider in your heart, and it's Red
elite.
Panda.
She's elite. You know,
she's what set the standard.
Flick those teacups up onto her head. I mean, that's.
You want to go up and ask him, did you get started because of Red Panda? Is that why you're in the game?
But
the unicycle halftime game?
But here's what the guy did. He took a basketball and he dribbled it.
Wow. How tall?
I'm telling you, this thing was.
If you're having to get on a ladder at all for a unicycle, it's already crazy.
I mean, where they cut down nets, that kind of ladder.
Okay.
And he got up several steps. I mean, it was pretty tall up. I mean, it was, I don't know, it was probably 6 feet at least, maybe.
Gosh.
So it was.
He's dribbling.
And he's dribbling, right. He's dribbling while he's riding. And he kind of got wobbly and thought, okay, here he goes. But he didn't. He hung on. And then he dribbled up and hit a basket. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. So then he dribbled back from the three-point line and hit a basket from the three-point line. That takes some arm strength to be able to do that.
Arm strength, balance. I don't know.
Accuracy, the whole thing.
I'm going to have to look it up because that's competition territory to me. I wonder if like Red Panda's looking to
it's kind of blue collar. It's kind of blue collar. It'd be like blue collar Red Panda.
Yeah,
because this guy again,
which is what he should go by. What I'm going to call him.
It's kind of scraggly beer gut. The shorts weren't really that. They weren't pressed.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like he'd kind of walked in out of a bar and then he's like going to entertain us, and he did.
Like, someone hand me that unicycle.
Yeah, but I can tell you, the dog guy the other day at the Lady Raider game, he was fantastic.
Yeah, but you're done with the dogs.
I'm glad we're going to have something different.
Like, done just this season or like even next season?
Just for now.
Okay,
just
give it a break. Come back
give it a break, yeah.
Okay. Radiation Station, help me out. Yes, the song was Opposites Attract.
Okay.
With the cartoon cat, which was always strange, and I wonder how she handled that. All right, he's going to be dancing next to you, and Paula, you're just going to, go wild. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat. Let me get an all hell Chuck.
Oh, thank you.
Couple pictures put up of the Texas Tech scoreboard. You were driving around.
I did that earlier. I was at the Tech Club for lunch today, and I posted one. Did you guys think that was the whole thing? Did you get confused by that picture or no?
I don't know.
That was a different show.
I didn't get confused by it. I think McGuire got a little confused on it. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think I had to spell it out. I said
you shouldn't have.
Making progress. It didn't say it was done. Okay, I said making. And here's the thing. Here's one thing I'm surprised, and I'm pleasantly surprised by this.
Uh-huh.
With regard to the Double T scoreboard. I thought, based on the artist renderings that we had seen, that it was going to be a little bit different than the previous Double T scoreboard. I thought it was going to be just a little, maybe, I'll just use the word flashy, but I'm not being critical because I think they absolutely nailed it by duplicating the Double T scoreboard that was there previously. This one is just larger.
You thought it was going to have more of like a new school look instead of being more of a copy.
Not necessarily the 3D Tech logo, and I'm fine with the 3D Tech logo. I'm fine with either one. My preference, I think, is the beveled Double T versus the flat Double T, but I'm fine with either one. I mean, I understand the flat Double T has history and heritage, and it means a lot to people, and I'm good with either one. I just thought, based on the artist renderings, it was going to be a little bit different, but I think the athletic department absolutely nailed it and did absolutely the right thing by just saying, you know what, we're gonna take what we had, we're gonna make it bigger, we're gonna put it up taller, and it's gonna be the same damn thing, and I think it's gonna look awesome.
Which I don't think that you're alone by any means of being excited about that, because whenever we were first discussing, hey, there's going to be renovations over there, a lot of people, it was the first question out of their mouths, what are you going to do with the scoreboard?
It's been a question for 10 years.
Yeah. And
so I've long told Jamie this, and he's kind of poo-pooed this, that people like to take pictures of that final score and use it as a Christmas card. Sometimes for the upset of the year. It's not every year. It's not every year. Not every year.
I don't hate that if someone wants to do it.
Yeah.
I have really no opinion. If that was what makes them happy,
Sure.
do it. Go for it.
By all means,
sure.
right?
There's much worse Christmas cards out
Right.
there. Yeah.
It's genuine, right? Shows your passion.
Are you a Christmas card guy? Do you send one out?
You know, we used to. I used to send them, but I've not done that in quite some time.
We just never did that growing up.
Growing up,
Yeah, and so I'm thankful that I didn't marry into a big Christmas card family either.
Okay.
I just don't have the patience for any sort of pictures.
really.
Especially with
Do you
that,
take
like-
a lot of pictures?
No, not
No.
really. Not really. Certainly not of us. I think
Do you-
that like since my wife and I have been married, we had our wedding photos, and then there's like 2 photos of us circulating. That's probably it.
Would you like to take a wild guess as to how many pictures I have on this phone right now?
I would love to take a wild guess. How long have you had the phone?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll just give a random number. 2,526.
Not even close.
Oh my gosh. 10,291.
Not even close.
1 million.
I think there's close to. This is gonna sound bad, probably. I think there's upwards of 50,000 pictures on this phone.
Wow. What do you do with them?
Well,
Just have them.
I
I mean,
send
do you go through them?
sometimes sometimes I send them to people or things like that. I mean, I like if you get shown on the Jumbotron like at Jones Stadium, Raidertron 5000, or Godson over there at United Supermarkets Arena.
Sure.
And I have my phone. I will take a picture, and if I know your number, I'll send it to you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I got
Okay,
you.
like your kids or something, but I got a million
So it's not
pictures of my
necessarily
kids.
stuff like I'm going to remember this forever. It's more you have
I'm-
more of a in the moment.
But I'm a make sure we got a picture of this. My family kind of gets a little disgusted with me because I want to make sure it's perfect and I make sure it's good and it's. I suffer from the it's never good enough disease.
I'll use the Jamie line of you do you. That's
Okay.
right. You're not alone.
Okay.
Cannot stand. I especially hate having to pose for pictures. Again, it's probably a patience issue. And it's really a me problem. It's Tech Talk here in Double T 97.3. Ask Tech Talk when we come back.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.